Okay, I wanted to continue going through the instruction manual with you and explain some of the more advanced settings on the Solid G. If you go back into the displayed mode menus, which is the black tab section of your instruction manual, it starts out with just your initial setup, which is menu A. Then it moves on to your heli-type, which is menu B, and that's on page 15. When you go on to page 16, you're starting to get into your more advanced menus, which is menu C, D, and E, which is your pirouette menu, response menu, and gain menus. Basically, the menus A and B you're going to set up as we described on the model. Go out and fly it, see how you like the way it flies with the model you selected. Then there may be some issues with the way it stops. You may not like the pirouette speed, or the speeds may not be matched right to left. And I was going to describe quickly how you would fix those if you want to adjust the settings. Starting with menu C, which is the pirouette menu, we have our right stop speed and left stop speed as our first parameters to set. All of these mean, the right stop speed and left stop speed, is how hard is it stopping. When I let go, is it banging it hard trying to strip the gears, or is it kind of a soft stop? If it's not hard enough, if you'd like to hit it harder, you can turn this number up, the right stop speed and the left stop speed. They're you can set them separately, so if one side's different than the other, you can turn it up or down. If when you pirouette, it tends to strip the gears when you stop, it's hitting too hard, you just turn this number down. That'll make it stop softer. The next one's in the same menu C, pirouette menu. You have your left coast / rebound and your right coast / rebound. What this means is when you do, like the first one, left coast / rebound, if you do a left pirouette and you let go, come to stop, if it continues to turn before it stops, like you let go and it seems to go for a little while before it stops, that means the coast is too high. So this number, which in the manual says 38, if this number is too high, it will continue to coast. Then you want to turn that number down, which means it's going to not coast after you let go. Now, if you go along and let go and it actually bounces back, we call that a rebound. That means this number is too low. You want it to coast more. So you would turn that number up from 38 to 40 or whatever. And this number will vary depending on which model you selected. We just use 38 as an example. That's true on both your left pirouette and your right pirouette. Now, moving on to your response menu. One quick note. Switching between menus, if you're going from A to B to C to D to E, the way you switch between those menus is you push the P button and hold it for 6 seconds. No matter where you are in any one of the menus, if you push the P and hold it for 6 seconds, it will move on to the next menu. So you can set the next parameters. But moving on to D, the response menu, we start out with your pirouette speed. And this is what it sounds like. It determines the speed of your pirouette. You can alter the pirouette speed by also altering the travel adjust in your radio. So if you turn your radio travel adjust up or down, that will vary the speed of your pirouette. You can also do it here. At present on the manual it says 40 is the pirouette speed. If you turn it up to 50, it's going to go a lot faster. We tend to recommend you adjust the overall pirouette speed in the radio because that's less likely to get things all goofed up. It usually pirouettes pretty fast as it is. So you normally wouldn't touch this, but you can if you want to. Next parameter is called pirouette balance. This is the one a lot of people are likely to want to change because it varies a lot with exactly how you set up the model. And what this means is how fast is it pirouette to the right relative to how fast it pirouettes to the left. As you increase this number, it presently shows 56. As you increase this number, it's going to make it go faster to the right relative to the left. So if you've already got it too fast to the right relative to the left, you just want to turn this number down. So it's at 56. So if it's going real fast to the right and slow to the left, you might want to go to 45. You just turn it down. If it's too fast to the left, you go the other way. You turn it up. So that's pirouette balance, determines the rate of right pirouette relative to the left pirouette. Okay, we just finished going over page 18 of the instruction manual, going through the menus using the display mode, and discussing the pirouette balance. Moving on to page 19, unfortunately this is where we have to tell you that the manual on page 19 and 20 is incorrect. We actually found this while shooting this video, so we've gone back and taken some notes to explain to you what actually these 2 pages should say. Still in the response menu, following pirouette balance, the next thing should be your gain balance, and your GB will show that when you go to it. Your gain balance is one of the parameters you won't tend to adjust. It's more an advanced setting, and you won't tend to adjust that one. It actually is for helicopters that have a very strange geometry and needed to balance them. You don't tend to need to worry about that one. Next is your rate gain, then your heading gain, and then your pirouette gain. The rate and heading gain, you again won't tend to need to touch those. Those do vary a little bit between models, but normally You won't need to touch them unless you call us and we suggest changing them for some reason, but overall I would tend to leave those alone. The pirouette gain is one you might want to adjust. The pirouette gain is one when you're flying along and you do constant pirouettes. If while pirouetting the model tends to try to whip, doesn't do consistent pirouettes, first check the model, make sure nothing's loose or servo's loose or binding or anything like that. As long as the model's okay, what I would try doing is turning the pirouette gain up. It's a separate gain that only becomes active when you actually do a pirouette. Turning it up will tend to make the pirouettes more consistent through the motion of a pirouette. The limit of it is if you turn it too high, you'll actually start to oscillate during the pirouette. You'll be coming along normal, it's fine. As soon as you do a pirouette, it'll actually oscillate during it. That means you now have this gain too high. That's the end of the response menu, which is your D menu. Next is the parameter menu. So if you push the P button and hold it for 6 seconds, you'll then move on to the parameter menu. And unfortunately, that is not listed in your manual. It's an error in the manual we, again, just caught while shooting this video. So in the parameter menu, your first option is your expo. In this case, it's set to 80. This is actually used to deal with imperfections in the pot and the transmitter. If you have a little fluctuated in the pot, it tends to get that out so it doesn't drift. Again, you shouldn't need to adjust this. The next parameter, if you push P and move to the next parameter, is expo width. This might be something you want to adjust. Right now, it sets default at 20. If the control is a little too sensitive, like if you take off and right around neutral with the rudder, it just seems to move on you fairly easily. If you turn this from 20 to like 30, it'll make it a little more dead around the middle and a little less sensitive feeling. Most of the rest of the time, you would want to use expos to get the sensitivity. Like if it's too sensitive, you'd want to turn up your expo to maybe 30 or 40 in your radio. But this is just right around center where this would affect it. The final parameter in the parameter menu is the heading limit. I would just leave that alone. It's presently set at 100. Adjusting that is a little more complicated than what you would do, so I would tend to just leave that alone. That is the final thing in the more advanced menus in the Solid G. For any other questions, please just contact CurtisYoungblood.com, give us a call, or check the website, and have fun with the gyro.